Salutations, and welcome to a very special Mother's Day edition of Soapboxing4Rinoa. Well, I guess in this case I'm soapboxing for my mama. Soapboxing for my mama. Yeah, it's no secret I like to play video games. It got me to thinking, what kind of games and consoles my mother grew up with. I was there for most of it, but I wanted to know if she had any consoles before me. Actually, yes, when the family was just my parents and my older brother at the time, they had the very first game console, the Magnavox Odyssey. I don't remember much about the Odyssey from other than what I saw. Maybe, I think it was from G4, like an Icons episode at the time, and they were talking to the guy who made the thing. All I remember is, graphics-wise, there were these plastic overlays you had to throw over the TV for, if you wanted, a football field or something like that. I think most of the game was just, boxes or dots or whatever. Yeah, this was mostly for my older brother. My mom and dad didn't really catch on yet. Then again, neither did most, considering how poorly it was marketed. Most people thought it's Magnavox, only works on Magnavox TVs. After that, the Atari 2600, originally called the Atari Video Computer System. This was before the release of the 5200, which they also had later. Already a big improvement over the Odyssey, of course. They also owned the competition at the time, the Intellivision, and which later gave way to the ColecoVision, which is where I came in, or at least was old enough to realize what it was all about. That's my earliest memory. That brief history lesson, now I can tell you what we all grew up with, what I remember my mom playing. Like I said, ColecoVision, my earliest memory. What I've known her for, most known for playing, was Jumpman Jr., which may or may not have been inspired by Donkey Kong. I know his original name for Mario was Jumpman. The object of that game, Jumpman Jr., I think the Jumpman series as a whole was running around these platform-filled screens. You defuse bombs, climb ladders, you were dodging, I think, projectiles off the screen or something like that. Apparently there were also two kinds of rope that would each only allow you to climb in a certain direction. Which leads me to wonder if those blue and red ropes from the first Donkey Kong Country, they took from that, actually. Another game we both remember in the ColecoVision was Gateway to Apshai. Early action-oriented dungeon crawler. Story-wise, it was a prequel to an earlier game called Temple of Apshai, which was more of a text-based D&D kind of game. 8 levels, 16 dungeons. I doubt I got very far. My mom and dad probably did a lot better. I know my mom at least beat Jumpman Jr. more than once. And that was back when most of those games didn't really end. It was more the experience, not really the destination. It was one of those games like, oh, you beat it, now we'll start all over again, only it's a little harder. I think they preferred that since near the end I was playing enough for all three of us. She also really liked a game called, what was it? Heist? It's either Heist or The Heist. You were running around rooms, stealing money, valuable works of art. Sounds like an early Bonanza Brothers, honestly. I remember the title screen with the word heist in big letters, but I don't remember much else about it. I even looked it up on Wikipedia. They don't know that much about it. There wasn't much else about it on that either. But yeah, that's it for the ColecoVision. Then came the Atari 5200, which worked on our old 2600 library that we had stashed away, which was, was really good. We already had all the titles. We were set. I know the big titles she played most were that flickery Pac-Man port. I don't know if it performed better on the 5200. Maybe it was a cartridge thing. Probably a much easier to showcase for the system. Asteroids, I know that was a big hit with her as well. After that, a console came up on high, Mount Nintendo, to save us from the great video game crash of '83 with the Nintendo Entertainment System. They initially bought for my brother, from what my mom's told me, but I took over completely. I think I played that more than anybody. I know my mom, first game she completed for that was Super Mario Brothers. She wasn't much on the Duck Hunt option. That was more my dad. I remember her playing a lot of Adventure Island, and we couldn't complete that, neither one of us. That game was out of our... I think even that one expert gamer on Game Center CX took 19 hours to beat it. There was this... I think it came on one of these weird, Tengen cartridges. Completely different. I think one of them was Miss Pac-Man. I know she spent time on that. I know she spent time mostly on Dr. Mario as well. I spent most of my time on that as well, We got our hands on our first handheld system, not counting games you'd get on Watch's Little Tiger Electronic deals. She didn't play those. Of course, the Game Boy with the Tetris combination, big hit with her. Big hit with everybody. First time playing that before it came out on the NES later by Nintendo. I think there was a Tengen one that came out earlier to that. She didn't do that one. I know the one that came out for Nintendo with the Nintendo characters. That's the one I remember more. She also liked the first Super Mario Land on that. There was another puzzle game she spent a lot of time on called Quirk. You were moving blocks, going through turnstiles, try to make your way through the exit in the least amount of moves. That was her thing mostly. I mean, I was getting my NES collection was growing, and then that got phased out too once I got my collection for the Game Boy games growing. So I had like 2 systems to work with. NES console, in my opinion, only to be outdone by the Super Nintendo, which obviously for her meant Super Mario World and Super Adventure Island. You know, both really great titles. She really, really liked the Super Mario Kart. That was like the first thing. That was like the most time she spent on, I think. You know, it was also the fact that you could get Tetris and Dr. Mario on the same cartridge. That was. We got that Super Game Boy Perif, which I adore so much, and I wish PlayStation would come out with something like that. But I'm getting off topic. I know that's how she played the second Mario Land through that. I don't remember much beyond that for the Game Boy. Later on came the N64. She wasn't too big on the 3D movement with Mario 64. Spent plenty of time on Mario Kart 64, Pilot Wings 64. Tetrasphere was another good one. I know she spent a lot of time on that. That was something I helped push her in. She got used to that a little bit. I think she still prefers the old Tetris, but Tetrasphere. I know we got the DS as well. There was Tetris for that. That was another one she played for the most part. She tried her hand at the that new Super Mario Brothers game on the DS. She did really well starting out. Later levels would put an end to that too, and was like, as I explained to her, to get past this part, you gotta triple jump, and you gotta jump to this wall, and then keep going until you make it all the way up. And she's like, "What is this sorcery you speak of? The wall jumps and blah, blah, blah." So yeah, I think that does it. Thank you for listening to this special Mother's Day edition of Soapboxing4Rinoa. I'll do one for Father's Day, unless I think of something else to soapbox about before then. I'm curious to know what memories you guys had with your mom playing video games, if any. Feel free to leave me a comment if you have. But that'll do it for now. I'll see you next time, and Happy Mother's Day.